What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar. And you know the drill, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because it's Japanese Tuesday, so we're going to cover some Japanese decks, understand the meta breakdown, and talk about some of the good plays. And as I mentioned before, Black War Greymon is definitely, or War Greymon Tribal is definitely coming down, like we said before. So without further ado, let's dive into the video and talk about it. So we are first off, let's take a look at everything. The tops versus BT13. So right now, Shine Greymon is still dominating at 89 tops, with Royal Knights catching up at 66 tops, followed by Beelzemon at 45, then Greymon Tribal at 40, Beelzemon X. So it looks like this deck is starting to take some leads into the third place spot after Greymon Tribal has been knocked down. Then we have Hunters after Beelzemon X, Mirage Galga, Red Hybrid, Blue Flare, Cross Hearts. Then we have Alpha, Rosemon, Bloom Hydro Quartz. You know the drill here. Kind of stuff that's just been going up. Kind of see that Shine Greymon's taking about 14.5% of the meta, with Royal Knights leading into 10.7%. And then, you know, the third place, Beelzemon. So purple definitely ate good in the last couple sets. So we have 1, 2 decently really good purple decks. And then following on to that, you know, you have Beelstar or Bellastar. Yeah, Beelstar or Bellastar, depending on how you look it up. Then you have like all these good solid decks that just can kind of just do a little bit of something here and there. Purple is definitely starting to see some decent headway play. And, you know, seeing red starting to dominate back up again, it's kind of no surprise there. But we're going to start, as I said, Greymon Tribal will start getting knocked down pretty quickly. I don't expect to see +3s or +2s anymore on this. I think it's just going to be +1s from now on. Most people will not play Greymon Tribal after this point. So, and definitely where we get the data from is none other than Digimon CG Guide. As you know, this is basically gathers all the Twitter's posts and basically makes it easy to understand what kind of things are coming through. They're using the photos of the Twitter posts, but that's not terrible. So first off, let's talk about Beelzemon X, one of the decks that are kind of just doing some crazy shenanigans. This one, let's take a look. Winner competed, you know, this is the date, 4/16, you know, April 9th, winner of the deck. So, you know, that's pretty cool. So let's take a look at it. Nothing too crazy here. It shows that basically once Beelzemon X is out, you really don't need, you could play any type of Beelzemon you want at the end of the day, and then Beelzemon X antibody is just going to really wreck house. As long as you get the 30 security, you kind of just deal enough damage, you know, with 7th full cluster here. So your turn, trash one of your Digimon Digivolves into Beelzemon X antibody by returning this card from your trash to the bottom of their owner's deck. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level, and then, you know, main effect being deleting a lowest level, and then security being able to delete a lowest level is pretty decent all around. You know, you have Rival, Barrage, return one purple Digimon card or Tamer card from your trash to your hand. You know, all the normal, usual stuff you kind of expect. This deck hasn't really changed much, but I like the splash of different Beelzemons, from either using BT10's Beelzemon to using, you know, this original BT2. So it proves that you don't really need to invest heavily into Beelzemon. This definitely probably pushes you ahead a bit, but to be honest with you, you probably don't really need it if they're showing off that you can definitely win with this kind of ratio input. You know, all this is going to do is just mill, and then once you get to Beelzemon X, your opponent is really just in a bad spot. So you're just going to win as long as you can knock down 2 to 3 security. By the time you go into Beelzemon X, your opponent's just a fish out of water and just really struggling to catch up at that point. But, you know, like Wizardmon X Antibody, you know, trashing the top 2 cards of your deck. If you have a Digimon with Wizardmon or X Antibody instead of evolution, this Digimon gains blocker until the end of the turn. This is a subsidized effect if you have Wizardmon or X Antibody, so it'll gain blocker. It will not trash the top cards of your deck. If you Digivolve, though, this will trash if you don't have the other 2 requirements. So just keep that in mind. And what's really cool is Balmon basically guarantees if he dies in some capacity, which you're hoping for, is going to be able to play, you know, one of your Beelzemons, which you kind of want to do anyway for free. And then you set up a ring of basically death and destruction. So, you know, Like, even with this Beelzemon for the inheritable end of attack for every 10 cards in trash, gain 1 memory, can set you up really decently for blast mode on top of it. So, like, keep that in mind, you know what I mean? Then we are going to look at Red Hybrid, especially since we have BT12 around the corner. I figured it'd be good to start talking about a little bit of what you kind of expect here. You know, with Emperor Greymons and stuff like that, this deck is quite powerful. Even if you don't even run some white cards, you're just using your normal balances and stuff. You know, the Takuya, you know, is going to really help. This memory setter is really good. But this effect here, while this Digimon has 2000 DP, if it has 1000 DP or more, it gains security plus, well, gains when this Digimon checks an opponent's security, gain 2000, gain 2 memory. Sorry. So this is really vital in some circumstances because especially, let's say you go into this Burning Greymon for, makes it an 8k. On top of this, instantly sets this up to be gaining 2 memory, which can lead to being spiraling. If you have multiple of these out, and then you go Burning Greymon, swing, hey, look, the security's trash. That means we instantly gain 2 memory, so you can Digivolve again. So constantly setting that up over and over really does do some worthy damage. But what's really nasty is all it takes to really spiral this deck out of control is 1 Atomic Inferno and security, and that this card basically sets you up for good. And what do I mean by that? By having this security +1 in security, that's a blanket effect. Your opponent is now on a clock because now your hybrids, if there's tamers and stuff like that, instantly become a security +1 during your turn. So this Takuya with Burning Greymon equals death in most instances. As long as you have multiple Takuyas at the start of turn, you can go Burning Greymon, and constant gain memory, get security +2, you know, swings for 10k, 2 checks. Even if you lose out, that's still memory gain, and that just keeps spiraling into the next one, to next one, to next one. But there's also this one that can, you know, go into your Emperor Greymons like it should. You know, there's all sorts of possibilities what this deck can do, and it comes down to the player's preference and understanding of the deck. Atomic Inferno, just insecurity is ridiculous. Atomic Inferno, just using it is ridiculous with this Takuya here. And, you know, all the other fancy Emperor Greymon shenanigans. Even just building a stack into this Emperor Greymon, being able to delete one of your opponent's Digimon equal to his DP is huge. But on deletion, you may play one Takuya if he's ever deleted. So that gains you some value there. You know, free Tamer fodder just to get back in can lead to being nasty. And then using this Aldermon, as long as you do the hybrid climb, that's a 1-cost evolve. And that, you know, for 3 on 1 turn, especially if he sets you to 3. And then you go into, let's say, this Emperor Greymon with Blitz. Be able to swing in, no options activate. Boom, you're kind of in a good spot there. So stuff like this does add up eventually. And at the right time of plays and understanding of the deck, you can do a lot of things. The deck is very linear and kind of simplistic at times. Then we do have Jesse Boy. Jesse Boy is definitely worth talking about because it's been a moment since we've looked at any of the new support and stuff like that. This list isn't playing much of the new support or even going into X Antibody. It looks like they just went for the just kill him strategy. Why does it matter? You're just going to climb up for less cost with the new Hawkmon line anyway. Your turn, when you play a Digimon in its name, you may Digivolve this Digimon into Baho Hawkmon from your hand without paying its evolution cost. So even going first, you do this, set this up, and then you play a Sistermon to pass turn. You can climb up pretty decently. You know what I mean? So, like, even going second, even going a Baha Hawkmon and then putting down a Sistermon. Let's say we put down Sistermon Seal, who's going to give you Blanket of Plus. But that Baha Hawkmon now Digivolves you into, let's say, one of your saviors for, you know, reduced cost 2, being a 1 cost. That's not a bad trade-off. I like the splash of Solarmon just to prevent your opponent from playing, like, Death X's on you because this deck really struggles against Death X. So it's worth taking that into note. But it's really interesting to see that many lists either don't play this new line or they're playing something very jankily, that they'll only play like the new starter and then skip out on the other two, which I find decent enough, but we'll have to see. But, you know, like Savior Hawkmon, having this basically on your climb reducing cost really does help out. And, you know, at times it just really is going to matter sometimes. I mean, If this Digimon has Royal Knights in its traits, you may play one Digimon from your hand or trash without paying its memory cost when attacking. So you constantly just set up your Systemons to go burr. I mean, Jesmon's Jesmon, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's just one of those decks that just spits out a lot of bodies, sucks them back in, and just goes to town from there. I think what people are underestimating with some of the red decks is they thought it kind of gets a little bit slower because especially Shine matchup is one of the tougher ones against a lot of these decks because Shine can just control the board in a way and punch you for game and constantly just keep cycling those Marcuses into security to make it harder for you to deal with. So stuff like this does add up occasionally. So I think this is good information and valid information, don't you? Guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!